Welcome to the Fitchburg Cultural Council's November meeting. We're calling this meeting to order at 4:33 p.m. This is a public meeting. This is the Massachusetts Cultural Council's local edition of the council, the Cultural Council, and we're the Fitchburg Cultural Council. This meeting is public. It's being recorded. If anyone would like to speak, make sure to speak into your microphone. And Shara, if you want to speak, we'll have you step up to the microphone so we can hear you. Just a reminder, it is being recorded, so anything we say is being captured. And for everyone, for the minutes tonight, if we can speak slowly and clearly and loudly, so Matt can collect all the information that we have. Thank you, Shara, for joining us. The public is definitely always welcome to speak, and we'll be happy to take you on the agenda item that pertains to you. So we're going to start right away with our grantee updates, modifications, and extensions. So I might move this to Eileen. Let me flip to my notes here. We have a Mary Heafy from the ARC. She has asked, this is in your paper kit there that I gave you. She's asked for an extension on their grant because of COVID concerns, and you've got the notes there. So I'd like to get a motion on the table to accept this because of COVID.
Well, I move that we accept it because she's working with a delicate population, and I understand her problem. So it's not a problem just to, follow her through. She's part of the 2020 group. The city has already wrap that up. So we're following it through the 2021 budget. There are going to be a couple things like that. And, I'd like to see her be able to do her program.
Thank you, Eileen.
I second the motion.
So we have a motion on the table to approve Mary Heafy from the ARC's request to extend her grant to December 2022 from Eileen, a second from Casey. All in favor?
From Audrey.
Hi. Audrey?
Hi. Aye.
Do that all the time. I'm so sorry. All right, thank you very much. Now I'd like to ask Eileen if we can have an update on any other extensions, modifications, and move right into the treasurer's report.
Okay. I've been trying to wrap up 2020. As you know, which is really kind of tracking down money we gave out at sometime before I was even involved in this. 2020 just wasn't a year where I was involved. And I'm doing pretty well. But I've got 4 that are just sticklers, and I don't know what you do in this situation since I'm new at this. We have somebody who, I don't know, this is FOS, and I sent something to her. I don't know whether this person has put in her final report or not, but I wish she would send me a copy of it, just anything, so I can say it's closed. Then there's another person who claims that he was told in a Zoom meeting that he could keep the $200 even if he never had a program. And I said, well, I don't know anything about that, but my view would be, and he's asked for another bit of money this coming year. I said, my thought would be that you write us a letter and say you'll do 2 concerts in the next year. But he said, well, I don't think I have to do that. So I don't know what to do with that. 3 years in 2020, the principal of a school put in a request, and then she retired because of the COVID and everything else. Since then, I've not gotten anybody there at that school to talk to me seriously about this. They're all acting principals there now, so I don't know what to do with that. And then there's someone with who wanted to do this $1,000 program for the Fitchburg Farmers Market. I've written her letters, I've called, I get the same call thing, I leave a number. She's just freezing me out. So this is my first year doing this, and I don't know what to do. What?
So Eileen, could you tell the council, aside from the first one, the second and third? So if anybody here knows someone, we can maybe do some research and try to get in touch with them.
Well, do you know Dan Kerouac? He wants to do a concert for the senior center, or no, I guess I should say he doesn't want to do a concert for the senior center. Although we've given him $200 to do. I'm on television. Should I really do this?
Well, I think it would be helpful if we just get the names, and then maybe if anybody on the council knows them, we can work on getting them into the mix for this year.
All right, South High School, South Side School, South Avenue School has a, this is the second at least temporary principal. I don't know what to do there. Anybody?
What was the grant for?
Pardon?
What was the grant for?
Grant was for, $750, and it was Theater at the Mount, was going to do a performance there. Do you know anybody at South?
I know somebody theater at the Mount, but I also know Eva Kelly, who, and Luisa Fernandez, they work out of the South Street office.
Okay, so what do you propose? Should I call either of them? Should I try to get in touch with Suzanne Tingus? I've written her a letter, but she didn't call me back. Should I?
Do we have a grant agreement that they sign?
Yes.
So the
they
grant
have-
agreement has stipulations in it, right?
Yes, they would have had to have signed a grant agreement, I don't know where that is.
All right, so, but we must have records of those grant agreements somewhere.
We must.
I know in my experience, we would write a letter and basically make a copy of that grant agreement and say, this is the agreement that you signed. You're in violation of the agreement, you need to return the funds.
Wonder how I'd go about
And
finding the
some-
grant.
Yeah, I don't know how those records are kept.
So I'm helping with number 1, which is the open studios from 2 years ago. Maybe Jesse, there's the Mount. Could we have you help with that one?
Sure. Just what side is it the school side or the Mount side? Because I can reach out to the Mount.
It's really at the school. It's got the principal who retired in 2020 about the time COVID came into place.
And then the third one is the farmer's market. Does anybody have any contacts there? Liz,
I do,
could you help with that one?
yes.
Because we'd like to get 2020 cleaned.
Can I look at the name of the?
You can have that, that's,
Oh, yeah. I
Okay.
can get in touch with her.
all right, okay.
Thanks, guys.
All
Is
right.
there
so-
anything else, Eileen, in addition to this?
All right, going forward, there's a, if you look at, in your book or on your numbers, trying to find it here. Number 3, number 16, and number 43 on our list are all the same grant. It's a consortium of local schools who are putting on a program. They asked if we could hold off voting on any of these until December 1st so that they could be, and I think that's a good idea because I don't know how we're going to make a decision here until we talk to them and see what's fair. So that's what I'm suggesting that,
Could you repeat the numbers, Eileen?
okay, number 3, number 16, and number 43. It's a regional thing. I think it's pretty interesting that they're doing this, a regional thing, and I hope we can support them. But it's pretty expensive, too. They've gone to a lot of $8,380. They're not asking us for that much, but altogether, they're probably asking us for about, through all of this, maybe about $3,000, $4,000, which is
The first
beyond
one
our
was, number
budget.
3 is $750, I believe. That's what they're asking us for, $750, I think, number 3.
Use the mic. So is the question, is the reason they want to hold off because they're also applying for other grants and they need to understand if they get
They
those
want to be,
grants?
they want to be here.
Oh,
They want to be here, and December 1st was the best day that they could be with us. So what I told them, I told them we'd be meeting in Hammond Hall, and I don't think it'll be as spacious in Hammond Hall as it is here. So I might just suggest, this is Pam Hill. Does anybody know Pam Hill? Well, she's organizing it. So I'll tell Pam that we're having it, as soon as you tell me, what room are we having it in Hammond Hall? Is that decided?
Yeah, it is SO6.
And I believe Pam Hill is Forge Theater, right?
I'm sorry.
Is that the Forge Theater?
No, it's a big number, look at number 3 in your book.
Yeah, it's Forge Theater. So
And it repeats itself through, and it's Ford Theater's part of it. But
Yeah.
it's also the Abolitionist Park and then a bunch of schools. So it's a consortium, and I think that's applaudable. You know, I like that idea that organizations would get together to do that. But we just have to think how we're gonna go to it. And perhaps I'll ask Pam, not to bring a whole group of people, because we won't have that kind of room, will we?
We won't have a lot of room.
I'll find out the capacity for that room.
So I think that's a great idea. We can hold off. We had that one down for tonight, but we can move it to the 1st. That's not a problem.
Okay, all right, I'll tell Pam that's what they've done. All right, that's the only thing that I have. I will send you all a copy of the latest budget for the month. And wrapping up everything else, I forgot to bring it with me today, so I'll send it all to you by mail. There hasn't been much activity anyway, so you don't have to worry about going bankrupt.
Audrey?
Eileen, can you send me a copy of the updated grant status, and I'll look through our cultural council emails to see if we've gotten
updated
anything.
grant?
And if Matt and Eileen, you can send me like all the minutes that we've had over all that you've got, I can put in the drive, and I can try to find that meeting that Dan was talking about and see if it's written in there.
All the updated grant status? What do you?
The pending
2020?
ones, the ones that you're still looking for.
Oh, here, I have it here.
Yeah, these.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh, thank you. Have it then.
So I think that concludes that part of the meeting. Treasurer grantee report and extensions, modifications. So we're going to move on to new membership. Shara, if you would like to step up to the podium, we'd love to have you. Everybody, Shara is a local artist, and we have
Can I take
her.
off my mask since there's nobody else here?
Sure.
Great.
So we have her resume here, and we have her letter that she's submitted to the mayor. I hope everybody has a copy. Shara is super active. I liked your resume. I didn't know you went to school in New York. It was very interesting. And she's super involved in the Sizer program, Sizer School. And she's also very involved locally. She's also an art steward. She's been through the steward program. She's a grant recipient. She's helping us with the Winter Bazaar event. So I personally, Shara, would be thrilled to have you on the council. We could certainly benefit from your expertise as an artist in the community. Would the council like to ask any questions to Shara? I think it's a win-win. Is there, for all of us, is there anything that you'd like to say, Shara, to the council?
I think everything was in that letter, and I know a good bunch of you, and you all know that I've been active in Open Studios and the Stewards Program and did RLI training. I've, been very passionate about building the strength of the arts community here in Fitchburg, and I'm excited to be a part of the decision-making process.
Yay, we're excited. So if there's no,
I'd like to make a motion to vote Shara in.
second that motion?
I second it.
So that was a double second. So we had a motion from Audrey to endorse the letter going to the mayor's office to bring Shara onto the council. We have a second from Casey. Anyone like to speak to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yay.
Thank you. Let's hope the mayor
Thank
agrees. Well, you're welcome to stay the whole meeting. Don't feel you have to, but you're welcome to. Okay. All right, so the next thing we had is Samuel, and Samuel is not here. I have his letter there in front of you. We also have his resume. Let the council tell me what you guys would like to do. I'm happy to also endorse this one. He seemed very interested, although he didn't make it tonight.
I will say that I did have a sit-down chat with Samuel, and he is, he's an entrepreneur. He's an artist, business owner, or he wants to start some businesses. He's very excited and ready to get involved. I did go over, I was able to go over all the topics that one would discuss when there's a potential member. And he seems ready to go. I am surprised that he's not here,
Same.
because he said that he would.
Any other comments about Samuel?
His resume looks great.
So maybe we can put a motion on the table to endorse this as well.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
So we have a motion from Liz to endorse the letter to the mayor from Samuel Luxama on November 13th, and a second from Casey. From Casey? Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Anyone speaking to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So that is very helpful for us going into the new year. All right, so a bit of housekeeping here. Just as a FYI, the public does have the right to access our minutes, and they have to make a formal request to City Hall to see past minutes. We have a request that's pending, so just as a note to the PR committee, I'm going to be needing to go backwards to make sure we have all of the minutes from the past. So tonight, we are going to approve the minutes from the 19th of October and from the 1st of November, and they're in front of you. So that's from our regular meeting on Tuesday, October 19th, and from our PR subcommittee on Monday, November 1st. Maybe we could do a blanket motion to approve or adjust these minutes.
I have an adjustment. Cassandra is spelled with one S, and that is my only adjustment.
Which minutes?
On November 1st, sorry.
To add to that, Claudia Stevens. Stevens is spelled with a PH.
Any other adjustments?
Under number 3, new logo. The logo will be presented for approval at the full committee on November 16th. That wasn't the plan, because we did already vote the idea in October.
Anything else? Okay, so can we get a motion on the table to approve the minutes with these 3 adjustments?
So moved.
So we have a motion from Derek to approve the minutes from Tuesday, October 19th, and Monday, November 1st with adjustments.
Second?
A second from Casey. Anyone speaking to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'm going
Approved.
to abstain just because I wasn't a member for the October 19th.
Matt, can you get that?
Yeah.
Liz abstains. That's fair. Okay, we're going to move to the Winter Bazaar. A quick update here. I wanted to ask the council to vote on some money. We're going to need some signage. We would like to do an A-frame or something to let people know that we're at City Hall on the 11th of December from 11 to 4. So I have some pricing from a printer that we used for Fitchburg Open Studios. We have a pricing of $321.60 for an A-frame, 2-sided, to go on Main Street, and the shipping cost is $108. So I wanted to ask the council if I could get permission and your vote to purchase this signage for the street.
I have some questions about that.
Go ahead.
Do we know what material it's made of and how much it weighs, and if there's any way to attach it to something in its surroundings? I'm worried about wind.
So I was given 3 options, which if this becomes a longer conversation, we can take it to a different day, although we don't have much time. We got several different options for weighted A-frames that will stay standing. It's Coroplast is the material, and that's the only information that I have.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
So there were options for a variety, a wave sign, and I'm going with the basic. So just really quickly, the contour wave with the heavier base is also in the same ballpark. It's $312.75, and the estimated shipping is between $78 and $100. So the pricing isn't dead set until we order it. Any other questions?
Is the frame something that can then be reused? Or is-
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So the way it works is, I have pictures, I can pass them down. The frames are the pre-made part, and then we print the pieces to go inside.
Great.
So we can definitely reuse it, it'll be ours.
So is this just pricing for the A-frame itself, or is it the A-frame and the signage?
Both.
Okay.
May I get a motion on the table to approve some printing?
I make a motion to approve some printing.
I second.
So we have a motion on the table to approve. The business quote is from Quality Business Printing Consultants. They're on the Fitchburg-Lunenburg line, if anyone would like to know that information. And it'll be between $321 and $421 with shipping. So that was a motion by Audrey to approve. Can I have a second?
Second from Claudia.
Oh, Claudia, thank you. Anyone speaking to the motion?
I just want to say, it seems like that the best way to alert the public about community events is that banner in downtown. Would we have time and the ability to get a banner made and put up there?
I think we could ask DPW to put the banner up, but they don't make them, so we would need to get a banner made. I don't know what the timeline for getting something like that made would be.
Shara?
I know that there's some online, like, printing things that you can have banners made overnight. You just have to have the graphics, and you email it to them and get them to, they send you a mock-up so that you can approve it, and then you can have it within 24, 48 hours. So it's certainly possible to do that.
What was the company? Do you have a company name?
It's called Banners Overnight, I think it's called.
Okay.
I can look it up and let you know later when we have our other meeting.
Okay.
I can also check in with my colleagues at the Brewfest and see who we had banner. I wasn't involved in making the banners, but I can see who we had do that. I'm not sure what the cost was, though. I want to say it was under $500, but how much under $500, I'm not sure. But I would suggest that we don't pull the trigger on buying it until I can confirm with DPW that they can install it.
Okay. Thank you. Can you help us with that, Liz?
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So that was a motion on the table from Audrey to approve an A-frame printing and shipping. That was a second from Claudia. If anyone else speaking to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. The next thing is I wanted to just go to Liz for a minute so she could give us an update. I think you guys will find it very exciting how we're doing with Winter Bazaar. So Liz, I'll turn it over to you to tell us how it's going.
Thanks. We've had a vendor sign-up form out for, 3 or 4 weeks now, and we have almost 60 vendors that have signed up, all makers. We have about 40 spaces for vendors on the 3 floors of City Hall. The mayor's office has asked us for this first one not to use this building. We are going to look at figuring out how to pare it down to 40. We'll also look at whether or not there is some additional space that we can carve out in City Hall. I just don't want to put any vendors in a position where they're kind of stranded away from the rest of them. So that's a work in progress, which hopefully we will have finalized by the end of the week, because I'd really like to get the vendor list finalized so that we can start using that as part of our marketing. There's been just really great response to the invite, so I'm really excited about that.
You know, if you find yourself in a place where you have somebody off in it, we could have ushers. You know, some of us could,
Yeah.
all right, people are coming in, well, what sort of art, what are you looking for exactly? And we would have a list and we could tell them, what was there, and if
Yeah,
it came to that, I think we could do it.
There's also options to create some maps, but I don't want to stick like 2 vendors on like the other end of a hallway, because the patrons that are walking around just may never make it down there, and I would feel bad. The other thing that we could look at is a weather-dependent issue. If it was mild enough, we could have vendors set up outside on the lawn. We certainly have access to tents and outdoor heaters. You can't put the outdoor heaters under the tent, though. So those vendors would have to be willing to be out in the cold.
That would reduce the vendor population, right?
Well, we would go from 40 up. We would have more vendors if we did that. But I just don't know if that is realistic to ask people to be outside in December.
Right. And I know, Liz, that you had wanted to ask about volunteers.
Well, that was assuming that we would need this volunteers for this space, but
okay.
we're not using this space. So,
Okay.
I mean, it is helpful to have a couple extra hands that could volunteer for part of the day, just to make sure that everybody is making their way around and not doing anything they shouldn't be doing in City Hall. But all the offices will be all locked up, so I'm not really concerned about that.
Volunteers, maybe we should start now and have a sign-up list, so we...
Shara has a comment.
Yeah, I just want to say that it's also important to have volunteers during the setup time to help coordinate all of the different vendors coming in.
Loading and unloading.
Right.
Yeah.
But I have more on that later.
Okay.
So I just want to say this is really exciting, and thank you, Shara, for your help, and Iffy, who's not here today, for her help, and thank you, Liz, for spearheading this effort. We were excited.
Yeah, I'm hoping this is the first of many.
Excellent. We
Can I
hope
ask
so
a
too.
question?
Yes.
So you say we are working on paring down the 60 to 40 vendors. Who is we?
Well, tonight it will be Shara, and I don't know if he's joining us, and myself looking at the map, which I have somewhere here, maps of the spaces. And the first thing we'll actually do is see if we can fit a couple more in and look at whether or not we can find folks that maybe know each other that would be willing to share a table. So, combining a few, and then, we're going to have to look at making some harder choices. I don't want to really say no to anybody.
But sometimes you have to.
Yeah, we'd like to keep everybody, but
Yeah.
Audrey?
So is the winter sculpture show at all affected by this? Because I know that some of the ideas was that if it's too small, we'll put it on a table and that takes up space. Are we still promoting and pushing for submissions?
So right now, we haven't gotten any submissions. I'm I sort of have mixed feelings about how that's going to do, so I think we play that by ear. But we certainly will have some spaces where if we get a large number of sculptures that could be on tables, there's the third floor has this almost like a buffet that's part of the wall, so you could put them all on that. There are plenty of spaces that could go into hallways, that could go into nooks where we can't fit a 6x8 table setup, but could fit a sculpture. So I'm not really concerned about that.
Okay.
But it's a good problem to be aware of.
Also, talk to Joe Ferguson from Reimagine North of Main about if we do decide to do an outdoor tent. I know that a couple of years ago, they had a light festival in February on the coldest day of the year, and it was inside of a tent, and it felt very warm when I was in there. Maybe it's just because of all the people inside there, but.
Yeah, so I was actually at that too, and that was a little bit of a different setup. The tent that we have access to are tents. We have pop-up tents, and we have a larger tent that I think is 17 by 60, but it doesn't have sides. And the space heaters that Joe has, are not the kind that can go under a tent. So, I'd love to get access to the kind of heat system that they used for that. I'm not sure what that's called, but it would be good for a long-term goal to try to get whether it's Reimagine or the city or some other entity.
So would an option be for the ones that are beyond what there's space for, to give them the option of outside?
We could, and I guess what I would say is, if we do that, I'd want to give them the out if they were the only one that said yes. Like, so if, if there were one or two that said yes, then we'd go back to them and say, okay, you guys would be the only ones. Do you still want to do it? And let them make that call.
Okay. It's exciting. Anyway, so that's our update. Anything else? Any other questions from anybody? So it's Saturday, December 11th from 11 to 4. We're looking forward to having the public. So the next phase after figuring out the vendor situation will be marketing to make sure the public comes to shop, because that's going to be the real telltale if people want to come back next year.
And one other plug, there's another craft event happening at on the same day. I think it's 10 to 1 at
I think it's like Christchurch.
Christchurch.
Yeah.
Put on by Nowoko Pride. So for folks that want to make a day of it, you
Yeah.
can start your shopping early there and then come visit us.
That's great.
Have we reached out to them yet so that we can kind of cross-promote?
I have only reached out to them to ask if they were still accepting vendors, and they're full.
Yep.
So that was a no, but we can definitely circle back to them and talk about some cross-promotion opportunities.
All right, so we'll move on then to the next agenda item, which is the Fitchburg Open Studios. So I put this on here because the signs, so if anybody from the public is hearing this, the signage, for those of you that participated in Fitchburg Open Studios, we'd love to get the signage back to the Boulder Art Gallery. They're open Thursday, Friday, Saturday from 11 to 4. And so far, we only have a handful of signs that were returned. So we'd love to get the signs back. And the reason why is that in the past, we would reproduce the labels each year with the new dates. So the reason I put this on here, today's agenda, is because I thought, after speaking with Peter at the Boulder Art Gallery, and you guys can see what you think, some other festivals, art tours often stay the same weekend every year. So it's easy for people to remember, and especially if it's like Labor Day or Columbus Day, you literally only have to say the name of the day, the weekend, and the signage doesn't have to change year to year. So I wanted to ask your opinion and see if everyone would agree to this, that we stick to the last weekend of September, which is what we've done the past 2 times. The out-of-town people thought it wasn't the best weekend, but the in-town people loved it, including the Art Museum. And this would eliminate the need for printing new signage every year, and would put the onus on the artists to keep their own signage and use it again the following year. So we'd only have to reprint for those that hadn't participated in the past. So it would minimize the cost on signage. So this is why I put this on here, and I wanted to see if the council agreed, and any other thoughts, and I'd love to vote in the new dates for next year if possible.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
Anybody else? It just cuts down on money. And you guys liked it at the Art Museum?
Yes, that's a good weekend for us.
Okay.
How did spots that were in Fitchburg but not like directly in downtown, how did they do?
So the outliers didn't do as well, and they were Ashby, Ashburnham, Gardner. The in-town, I didn't have any major feedback from people in town who weren't downtown. So I don't have a good, solid answer on that. Anything else? Well, if you guys don't mind, I would love to put it on the calendar and get a motion to do Fitchburg Open Studios 2022, the last weekend of September.
Sounds good.
Can I have a
Need
motion?
a motion? I'll motion.
Second.
So we have a motion to do Fitchburg Open Studios the last weekend of September 2022 from Eileen, a second from Casey. Anyone speaking to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. That'll help us with planning for next year. I wanted to turn it over to Audrey for a moment to go over just the schedule for FCC TV for the rest of the year. It's been really successful, and I think everyone's done an excellent job. So, Audrey, you want to give us a little update?
I apologize. I wasn't able to talk to Nate or Ann from FCC TV to get other possible taping dates because Derek, congratulations, was elected city council member, which means that he will be stepping down in January, which means, for January. But we would still love his help with FCC TV, and Tuesdays will obviously be difficult since that's city council meetings. So we are looking at other options, and Nate and Ann are still putting it together and haven't sent me what the other options are yet.
So is there any date we need to know about for the rest of the year?
Once I find, the plan was supposed to be for, the current plan is Tuesday, December 14th. And I don't know if that works for people.
So that's to be determined?
Yeah. Can I get a quick show of hands from those who normally volunteer if they can do that day?
I'll be there.
Okay, great. Then we'll just keep that. And then we'll just figure out the season 2 schedule. And if we want to, we could take a break as well.
Okay. Which we'll also need to, it wasn't on the agenda tonight, but we'll need to think about our FTV membership for next year. So that can be something we think about in December. Okay, so we're going to move into our grant cycle. This is the new year. I think what we're going to do first, which one of the grants that we were going to do tonight is getting moved to December 1st. I basically thought we could get a head start. We've got like 25 minutes left tonight. I know we may not all be prepared to go through many of them, but I thought it would be good practice for Liz, who's new. Shara's here to watch, and we'll just get going. It's also difficult to hear everyone here, so that's why we're moving to Hammond Hall. So tonight's not ideal for doing this, but I thought we could do a few, get our feet wet, and then we'll see how it goes. It's also a bigger book than normal, so Audrey has sent us some reminders. I know not everyone had a chance to probably review them well, I'm going to turn it over to you, Audrey.
Yeah, so it's basically a summary of the LCC guidelines, which, so what we do when we vote for grants, it's much more impartial. It's just deciding whether or not it is eligible for funding. And so we are bound by the Mass Cultural Council LCC guidelines, which are the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet points. Shara, if you are interested in looking at it, it is on the podium. And then we are also bound by the local cultural council guidelines that we created in September. And then we also created priorities based off of the public input meeting. So I've just summarized that all on this sheet to make it really easy for y'all, and on the back of it is conflict of interest. It says what we should do if a LCC member feels like that there's a conflict of interest. They should make a verbal disclosure at the voting meeting, which will be recorded in the minutes, and then leave the room during the discussion and voting of their grant application. However, they will have the opportunity to make a comment as a member of the public, just as any other grant applicant can do. And then they'll excuse themselves for the discussion and voting.
Thank you very much. It's great to have an update, a reminder, how we do it. So just as a reminder, we're going to do it like we did last year and the year before, how Joe taught us. We're going to go through the book once with a yes or a no. And if we need to bring it back and ask the grantee to come in and speak with us, we can also do that. and then we'll do the final numbers, like how much everyone gets at the final meeting. So we'll see how we do. And just to jump ahead to the grant review dates, the next date would be Tuesday, November 23rd, from 4:30 to 6:30 at Hammond Hall, S06, Conference Room S06. Thank you, Matt. Thank you to Fitchburg State for offering the space. And so far, it looks like we'll have a quorum that night, so that's a good night. Then the next meeting after that would be Wednesday, December 1st, 4:30 to 6:30, Hammond Hall, S06. And I'll double-check quorum before that date. And then what I'm hoping is we can do our normal meeting in December as the money meeting and be done for the year. That way we don't have to schedule another meeting, but we'll see how it goes on the 1st, and then we'll go from there. And those of you that can't make it, we'll figure it out. Our quorum is 7 now, so. Okay, so let's get in our books.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Are we saying yes or no, they are eligible, or yes or no, we want to give them a grant?
It's kind of one and the same.
Okay.
We don't decide how much we're giving them, but yes or no, whether it's eligible and we want to fund it.
Okay.
One thing I have noticed, though, people are asking for more money than they have in the past, and there are more of them, so I think it's going to be tight. We usually have been able to give most people something, so if they did all the things they were supposed to do.
To be fair to those who asked for an exceeding amount, we have been encouraging them to ask for the full amount that they want, even if it's far over 1,000. So perhaps that's because of us.
Yeah, it is. We've been encouraging them to ask for more, which is good. So just as a reminder, the things that Matt needs for the record keeping is the grant number, the first and the second, like who votes it in. And we want to just speak clearly so that Matt can hear that, so he can get it in the records. So we'll start with grant number 16291. This is 01420. And this is for $160. This is for Santa's mail return letters. We've funded this in the past. And this serves roughly 600 people. Would anyone like to make a motion, or shall we discuss it?
Well, let me make a motion. I'd like to make a favorable motion about this. We've done it, this will be the 3rd year, and it's Sam Squalia.
I'll second.
So we have a motion on the table from Eileen to accept grant number 16291 for funding, and a second from Matt. Anyone speaking to the motion?
I want to speak to the motion. So one of our requirements was to name local contributors and partners and list qualifications included. This was written with slightly less clarity, but if one wants clarity, I could give it, because we just had Sam on the show, and the North Pole liaison from the U.S. Post Office on our show. Her name is Christy. She's a postal worker at on Main Street, and so she obviously works for the post office. Yeah.
And Derek?
Yeah, I was just gonna, we had, like Audrey said, we had them on FCC TV this past time, and it seems like a pretty special thing they got going on for a lot of kids, so I'm very much in favor of this one.
Okay, so we had a motion from Eileen to approve this for funding, and the second from Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstaining, Matt?
Are you abstaining?
I'm abstaining, sorry.
Oh, Tamar's abstaining.
So motion carries. That's a yes on application 16291. All right, let's go to the next one, which is similar. Same company, quote-unquote company, 16421, 01420. This is for flag signage. Flag, what do you call flags? They're signage.
They're just flags.
flags.
They're like literal flags.
And this is for the Flag Park, which is
Yeah.
right over the bridge.
Well,
Heritage
those flags, they were getting kind of raggy looking, so I think it's really a good idea, and I support it.
Yeah, I think every year or so, Sam typically posts on Discussing Fitchburg Now, hey, we're looking for new donations for flags. I know that in past years I've donated the China flag because I'm Chinese. And then I mentioned this year, hey, this could be a cultural council application. So it'd be nice if we helped with that funding.
All seems positive. Any other comments, or we can take a motion?
I love the idea that they would basically be defraying the cost for folks to be able to donate a flag from their culture, heritage, for this grant. It's a great idea.
So I motion we approve. Is that what you need?
I need a motion, yep. So Eileen put a motion on the table to approve grant number 16421.
I'll second it.
We have a second from Liz. Anyone speaking to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 16421 is approved for funding. Number 6108, we're moving to December 3rd.
December 1st.
December 1st. Thank you for the correction. That moves us to 7636. David Bates requesting $475 for a free admission event that will serve 100 people, seniors and their families and friends, and it's a performance.
And it's a Celtic festival, so I make a motion, we support it.
And I will second that.
So we have a motion from Eileen to approve 7636 for the seniors, and a second from Claudia. Anyone speaking to the motion?
Yeah, I just want to add that Davis Bates is a previous grant applicant.
Yes.
He put on a show at the Senior Center that was sea songs and sea shanties. Casey had the pleasure of interviewing him over Zoom for FCC TV, and it sounds like that he's doing pretty cool things.
Thank you, Audrey. Anyone else speaking to the motion?
I don't know.
So we have a motion on the table for 7636 from Claudia to approve this grant for funding, and a second from Claudia. Sorry, first from Eileen, second from Claudia. Anyone else speaking to the motion?
I also want to add that he did include the required letter of support from the Senior Center confirming that they expect him to play. And I think he also gave a specific date already.
March of 2022.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Eileen, can we have you step out for a second?
Okay,
Unless she wants
unless
to
you want
speak.
me to answer any questions or anything.
Good call. This is Rollstone Congregational, grant number 4261 is the next one.
Anybody have any questions? It's a old, beautiful organ, and we want to be able to bring people in to hear it. And we have a 17-year-old genius who plays it. He's amazing. All right.
Speaking to the microphone.
No, any other questions from anyone for Eileen? Eileen, can you step up to the
I do
mic?
have a question. Yeah,
Sorry.
choose a microphone.
All right. What do you want?
So one of our requirements is that if it is a religious organization, the program is primarily cultural in their intent and does not have the effect of advancing religion. You mentioned that some of the recitals would be sacred and some would be non-sacred, or some would be secular, and which ones would be non-secular. Are any of the three recitals completely secular?
I guess you could think, I mean, the ones that are sacred would be like Bach, so that's pretty, but also, the first one's a Christmas festival, and we're going to have a choir in, and I don't think it's a sacred choir that's coming in to do this. And the second one is a requiem. It's Palm Sunday, but it's a classical piece. You know, it's not like it's church music, although it is church music. But a lot of old music is church music.
I don't know if people will be able to tell whether or not the music sounds churchy or not.
It's what organs were made for, and we don't have pipe organs around, although Massachusetts has a ton of them, but they're not really being used. But ours was just fixed up a couple years ago, and it sounds beautiful. And this guy, he plays on Sunday for us, and he usually has something at the end, and everybody hangs around and cries. I mean, you know, so I'll leave. Any other?
Oh, wait, clarification for the question. So, at these recitals, will there be any verses that will be read, any prayers that are said?
That would be probably not religious. If there, you know, we're going to have, there's for Christmas, it's Christmas carols. I mean, you know, that's what it is. For Palm Sunday, it's going to be a requiem, but it's a classical old requiem, and it's played all the time, not necessarily, probably not much in religious services. And then in July, it'll be the 4th of July. So no, there's not going to be any readings, there's not going to be any, it's not going to be religious. All we want to do is to be part of the community and to bring people into our church and see our church.
I think the thing that is hanging up this question is the second one is called a Requiem Mass. And to me, that's a mass, and that's religious.
Well, it's been done by there are a lot of requiems in classical music.
But is it part of a church service? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Well, it probably was 300 years ago.
But I mean, this event,
yeah.
this concert, is it part of a mass for Palm Sunday?
Saturday.
Okay.
But if you go to the symphony, they'll call it a Requiem Mass. I mean, it is in a church, but you could go to the BSO, you could go to the Worcester Chamber of Music and still see a Requiem Mass. It doesn't mean that you're attending a Requiem funeral.
So it's not a mass that's happening on Palm Sunday?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It would be.
That clears it up for me.
It wouldn't be unusual to have it played in by an orchestra in a concert house, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're just trying to get clarification that none of these recitals are happening during a church service, and that it is just cultural in nature.
Yeah.
I do have an additional question.
Oh, there's one more question.
Sorry, one more question for you. What is Rollstone Congregational Church doing or intending to do to advertise these events to the general public outside of the church?
Well, they're going to, they'll go through the Council of Churches. We want a really big, we can seat a lot of people. It's a big empty church. And so we're going to be doing a lot of public relations for it. We can go through the music teachers at schools, which we plan to do. Of course, we have, we can go with other churches and invite them. We have a whole list of things we're going to do. I think I might have put it in there.
Excellent. One more thing I just want to add is that because Eileen is on the council, we'll have to all fill out a conflict of interest form. I'm pretty sure this is the right one that we need to fill out and submit to the mayor, but I need to double check. But I talked to Joe about this. He said it was okay that we discuss it and vote on whether or not we consider it eligible, because it's not like a true vote or an actionable vote. But we do need to have them filled out by every single member of the council, aside from Eileen, since she won't be voting on it, and submit it to the mayor before we vote on finances. So I'll give that out to everyone.
Have something for me to fill out?
No, it's for the rest of us.
Oh, for the rest of you to fill out?
Yeah.
So are we doing this form for every grant, or do we do this form once? Because I have a lot of conflicts of interest, so I just want to.
Maybe we could just do like one lump form for you.
Well, this form is for if another member of the Fitchburg Cultural Council is the applicant of
Oh, okay.
it. If you are, if you feel like there's a conflict of interest just because, you're working for the organization or a competition or whatever, you can just abstain. You don't have to fill out a form.
Okay.
So let's have Eileen. Any other questions for Eileen? Can we have you step in the hall?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen.
Okay, everybody, so on grant number 4261 for Eileen Berger for the Rollstone Congregational Church.
I make a motion to approve.
I second it.
So we have a motion from Matt on the table to approve, a second from Claudia. Anybody else speaking to the motion?
Can we give direction when we approve grants to say, to say something like, can you just make sure that you're publicizing this beyond your church group? Because in the application, most of the publicity seems to be within church and church groups. And that would make it harder for the general public maybe to know about it.
We don't usually,
We can do conditional approvals.
Okay.
We just have to send them what our conditions are, and I think that's a great condition, because otherwise it does seem like if it's only catering to other churches, then it does seem like that we are, it should be for the general public.
Right, yeah.
so we have a motion on the table to approve it. We have a second from Claudia to approve it. Would we like to remove those with the condition that they adjust their PR?
Yes.
Matt, do you want to remove?
Amend my motion to reflect Audrey's suggestion.
Liz's suggestion. So we're going to amend, we're going to accept this with the amendment of adjusted PR from Matt. Claudia? Do you want a second now?
Yes, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So Matt, can you make that adjustment in the records? Can somebody wait? Eileen, back in. That would be amazing, Shara.
Tamar, can you send that letter? Since Eileen had nothing to send it in letter.
What letter?
Oh, well, actually, we're not.
We just asked her to come and speak about it next time.
That's for later. Never mind, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So what happened?
So it was approved with the condition of adjusted PR
On the condition that,
for the Mass community.
Right, just to adjust the PR to make sure that you're reaching to
yes,
non-religious sources
Yes,
in
yes.
addition. Yeah.
yes, that's,
Moving on, I'm going to get one more in before the night's over. 11317. This is Zachary Boss. It's $1,000. The project is called Roots and Verse. This is actually a tour. It's estimated to serve 40 people, and it's a series of 4 walks. Zachary Boss is a resident and business owner. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
So we have a motion from Casey to approve grant number 11317, and a second from Audrey. Anyone speaking to the motion? All in favor? Oh,
oops. I just want to point out there's another one down here too by the same person. Does anybody know this person?
Yes.
yes.
Oh, okay, all right, good.
We're excited about some things he's doing.
Yeah, he's not, well, I guess maybe he has started Bonfire Books remotely. He's been, at yard sales or like whatever, he's been selling books, but he plans to have a storefront in downtown selling books.
Okay.
So he's very involved.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're seeing, I mean, it looks like 500 is going directly in his pocket. Everybody's comfortable with that?
I think that artists and talent should be paid a labor rate, and I think I did the math. Since there's 4 hikes, I think it's something like, I don't know, like $18 an hour. Like, yeah.
That's fair, and we've already approved it, but that's a good comment for the future for us to keep in mind.
Sure.
I agree. I think artists should get paid.
Oh, no, of course. Of course they should be paid, but it's, we need to keep an eye on where the money's going, right? But I agree, artists should be paid.
That's a fair point, considering how, we have to make sure that these applications have public benefit, and it's not just directly all going into the pocket of like one private person and then isn't benefiting the rest of the public. So I think that's a fair.
So just for the minutes again, Matt, that was,
Casey, seconded by Audrey,
you got Casey, you got Audrey,
and unanimous, yep.
11317. Okay. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of the meeting. This is 5:34. I just want to make a reminder that our next day will be Tuesday, November 23rd at Hammond Hall, room S06. I'll have an agenda with the grants we're going to cover. If anyone can't make it, certainly let me know, and I'm aware of, yep. I'd like to take a motion to adjourn the meeting
So moved?
from Eileen.
Second?
Audrey, seconds to adjourn the meeting at 5:35 PM on Tuesday, November 16th. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.
No.